Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast, and we are looking at the second round of these play-in games, elimination for these 8-9 matchups. We are taking a look at the Western Conference version of that matchup tonight here on Friday night. The Pellies headed to the Clippers in LA at Crypto.com arena there. So we will be taking a look at some of the best bets in here. Nate does have his great article up on playpicks.com as well, with some best bets and player props in there for you as he continues to grind along baseball, basketball, everything you need on playpicks.com. And as always, make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. You can check out the other couple of videos we are bringing you. Player props videos will continue throughout these playoff games. We also got that 8-9 matchup in the Eastern Conference, Hawks and the Cavs. Got that video up for you guys as well. We're going to continue to bring you all of these playoff games as we roll along, every single one of them. So make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or a DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for these playing games. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, Clippers opening at -3.5 as Josh, forecast when he was trying to predict the line. It moved up to -4, but now back down to -3.5 at FanDuel. Standing pretty steady with a total of 216. And then the other game, wow, the Hawks just moved down to -2 at Cleveland. Opened near a pick'em, got up to -3. I can't believe that. I would assign the line at least -5 for Atlanta.
Same.
After they crushed the Hornets, which are the team that's playing much better than the Cavs. We have a full episode up about that one, though. We'll dive into Pelicans Clippers here. And while the Pels did knocked out the Spurs, who really didn't even want to be in the play-in game, let's be honest. They were trying to rebuild this year, and the Lakers kind of handed them a play-in spot. Now they're on a shorter rest than the Clips, who are going to be motivated after Patrick Beverley pulled the Kobe Dwayne Wade stand on the scorer's table, pound his chest, and confetti exploded, and the Wolves just flaunted that win all over the Clips.
Real quick, I thought that it would have been so funny. I thought someone was going to come and tap Beverly on the shoulder and be like, sir, you can't do that here, sir. Like, what are you doing right now? But anyway.
Yeah, escort this man out of the stadium, please. In any case, yeah, the Clippers had that game in hand as we were trying to call them to win, use that veteran leadership. A little bit of collapsing down the stretch, but I don't think we'll see a repeat of that here if it does come down to the wire. I don't know if it will come down to the wire because New Orleans is so dependent on two guys, CJ and Brandon Ingram, and neither of them have had much success at all against the Clippers. CJ has been dreadful in his last 15 points per game at 37% shooting, and that's, relatively dreadful for a guy who's getting about 26 and shooting about 50% when he's with the Pels. Had been killing the Spurs and did kill the Spurs to put the Pels in position to win that one. Ingram is scoring 20 points per game, but struggling with ball security, 6 turnovers in his last meeting, which was a 119-100 beatdown for the Clippers just last month without Paul George, mind you, and he's a good matchup to put on Ingram.
Yeah,
the Clippers had a ridiculous advantage in that game from 3, and that's not necessarily an outlier. They hit 21 threes. New Orleans hit 9. New Orleans is hitting about 9 threes since the All-Star break. Yep. They're second worst from deep in the league, and the Clips are third best percentage on the season. But specifically since Paul George came back, they're shooting 44% as a team from deep and hitting nearly 14 per game, also getting the most free throw attempts, also the fifth most assists. They've won 4 straight at home with PG involved in 3 of those, I believe.
Yep. Shutting
down opponents from 3, holding opponents to 98 points per game and 40% field goal. It just definitely speaks to the Clips being able to just hold this team in check. And the Pels, because they're so dependent on 2 guys, this is the key stat for me.
Yeah.
They need rest. They need to slow it down. They need to face teams that don't have more depth and can push the pace like the Clippers can if they want. Because when they're on a rest disadvantage, when they're in that situation, they have their worst mark straight up, 2-9 this season, losing by an average of 5.5 points per game. So with the extra rest, with the extra motivation, I like the Clippers to take care of business here. I would take their money line with a parlay with the Hawks spread, which is negligible, to get a real nice parlay there on these two games. I think you can take the Clippers -3.5 and -4, but you're only losing a little bit of odds if you go down to -2.5. Maybe buy some points just in case. Maybe you may split your wagers so that you're covered just in case they win by 3 points or 4 points.
Yeah, no, I like that. I definitely like that. I think the value here is definitely on the line a bit more than that 216 total. To be honest, I mean the 216 total, it's super low. I would love to feel comfortable hitting that over. A couple things that would lead me to want to. I'm not necessarily saying I would. I'm actually going to just start with why I would not, to be honest, because of CJ's sort of inability to play well against the Clips. He's not a great matchup for them with some rangy, long defenders, and I do think Paul George on Brandon Ingram is a plus matchup for the Clippers as well. I mean, look, I was super high in the Clips before they collapsed in the last 3 or 4 minutes of that game. For roughly 3 quarters and 8 minutes, like we said a minute ago, I was like, we nailed it. This is exactly how we expected this game to go. Cat not going to bring it, which means that's going to sort of, make a little bit more moot the output from D'Lo and Ant Edwards that we also expected to come and did. But first of all, Ant was better than we thought he could even be in his first play-in or playoff game of any kind. And Cat was even worse than we thought he could be, but we didn't realize Naz Reid was going to come in and do what Cat couldn't do. And that was really just be bigger and better than and then Nicholas Batum, who's trying to guard him, which was working on Cat because he was getting flustered. Somehow Naz Reid had the wherewithal to just stop, get to his spots, and realize he's bigger and can shoot over all these little guys that Ty Lue's trying to throw on the big guys on Minnesota. So point being there, I still think that everything we said holds true for the Clips in terms of being a team to fear in these playoffs. I think they and the Hawks, as we will talk about in a different video, will be the 8 seeds, and they'll be tough matchups for those 1 seeds, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't want to play the Clippers if I'm the Suns. Not that I would pick them to win the series, but I don't want to play them with that lineup coming back is my point. So I think that's what we're going to get here. The under, like CJ not playing well is there. But, look, the other thing here is, and this isn't really good, impacting my decision around the 4-point spread here in favor of the Clippers. I like your decision to buy a couple points, get up to like -150, 165, and still feel really good about it. And like you said, maybe parlay that with something else that we feel really good about. But look, if you wanted to take an over in this one, you would look at the fact that the Pellies are playing fast, and they're making up for their lack of 3-point shooting by playing a bit in terms of the way that they're playing in transition more. Let me put it that way. However fast you want to say they're playing, however many possessions they're getting, that's not the point of what I'm saying. The point is they're playing in transition a lot more. And since CJ got there, that's been their MO. They're third since he got there in terms of points off of turnovers, points off of fast break. And the Clips haven't been getting back quite as well in the same time since CJ arrived in New Orleans. That's back at the beginning of February. They were a little bit of a different team, but they are, giving up points in the paint, which is where the Pellies want to score as well. So it's a lot of those paint points, fast break points, points off turnovers. Those are the things that the Clippers haven't been defending quite as well. And the Pellies, that's what they're doing. Now, we also talk about this being the playoffs, an elimination game, a game where people are going to be getting back on defense. They're not going to be watching the ball, right? They're going to be head on a swivel a bit more, in my opinion. So I don't love touching that total at all because there's a bunch of conflicting factors there. I just think when all is said and done, 3.5, 4 points is not too much, and 2 points for in favor of the Clips, I'm still very comfortable, even more comfortable, obviously, with that.
Yeah, I steer away from totals in the playoffs. Like I said, definitely lean more towards the unders, but as they get more competitive like this at 216, I'm not willing to take an under at all. I mean, it depends on how well the Clips shoot from 3. I'd be okay with their over 109.5, even though they didn't get there against the freaking Wolves, who allow a ton of points. But I just trust that this veteran team isn't going to lose back-to-back high stakes games like this. I think Ty Lue has many more pieces to deploy. Like I said, Nola, only 2 guys that really scare you on offense. The Clippers had struggled against teams above 500. Before PG came back, but NOLA is now 37-46. I mentioned their struggles against playoff teams at home against the spread. Not much better on the road either. I mean, they're pretty much just a middling team by the numbers if you look at a larger sample size. They were already playing, ahead of schedule. They didn't really expect to be in the play-in game either. And it's just CJ. They've been much better than expected with CJ arriving. I think the road ends here. I mean, it's just not much to say about these two games. I think the Clippers and Hawks are going to win, and I think you put them together and you're getting nearly plus 200. I think I'm pretty confident that both those results are going to come through for you.
Yeah, so maybe you're suggesting a little money line parlay for those two teams. I mean, the fact that the Hawks are still, we've got these spreads at 4 points or less still as we're recording this. We should be honest, like we're recording this on Thursday, right? But these games are on Friday. There is the possibility that these spreads move, honestly in favor of the favorites. Would be my guess if they move at all. I think the Clippers line is pretty steady at 4. I think that Hawks line, like we've said in that video, that one could move. So I do like parlaying those money lines together because I agree. I think the Clippers, to be honest, look, that West is stacked. But I think if they had PG for the season, I think they're contending for a 5 or 6 seed a lot more so than they were having to play in playing games. And same for the Hawks. I mean, if the Hawks played a fraction of what they were in the last 40 games of the season this year where they started to pick it up, if they had done that the first 40 and anything close to it, they wouldn't have had to play 2 play-in games. I think the point is they're a lot better than a 9 seed, and they're going to prove that tonight in these Friday night games. So that is all the time we have for you in this one. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Check out all these videos we're bringing you as we are coming to you with every single playoff game this season. And until we see you next, happy betting.